I think we're in good shape with regard to the pace of the course and also the sequence in which these topics have been arriving on the blackboard. Right now, hopefully today we'll finish with most of chapter 10, which is about the evolution of solid structure, which obviously supports the flow of other things. And hopefully this kind of thinking will enable us to discuss, beginning with next week, the evolution of these solid structures that are moving, such as airplanes. That is obviously it's full of these elastic beams, but it also has purpose that's visible as full body motion. And we'll go that way. We'll keep, how should I say, making bigger statements predictively. All the way to the second exam, in which you'll be invited to do your own ability to make statements. Today's lecture has three parts. It is about vegetation. And one of them has root, and then going upward, which I'm writing lower and lower, trunk, and an assembly of, let's call hierarchical assembly of branches called canopy. Or corona. Corona in Latin means crown. Well, you know, three things from bottom to top. Oh, by the way, there's also the forest. And these are the pieces of today's lecture, if I'm good enough at not wasting time. Okay? I mentioned last time the answer to the question that people don't ask, which is, why do plants happen? You know, vegetation is older than the rest of the biosphere, which is called the animate. You know, everything from the, you know, monocellular to the rabbit and the city design. Vegetation was first. Why? In other words, why trees started to walk on land? Here's one, a tree walking. After the tree that is stationary. What was the purpose? Do you remember the answer?
Well, if you're saying that evolution is for like greater access, then like the moving thing has greater access than the stationary thing.
Correct. So what is the greater access that the stationary tree facilitates? Access of what?
The animals have greater access than the tree.
But I just told you the animals are absent. The tree is much older. Access to what?
Sunlight, water.
What?
With the canopy, like the tree compared to like a smaller thing.
When I see a person hand waving...
No, that was tree. That was tree branches there. That's the canopy.
Okay, fine.
It's really scientific.
Yeah. The key, let's call it the very first question in education is singular. There's only one. Usually, what is the truth in this? In this course, that first question is, what flows? Clearly, not the lumber. Lumber is are all these trees cut up and then used in construction. In the living tree, flowing is the water from the ground into the dry wind. That is happening all the time. This is why I already said trees are where the water is plentiful. Trees are absent in the desert. The other thing that flows through the tree is let's call it a bundle of stresses. Stresses, these invisible things that establish the communication between the force exerted by the wind on the crown, on the corona. That force has to be transmitted to the ground such that the wind slows down after interacting with the treetops. See here what flows, and there are two things that flow. Both of them are about slowing down the atmosphere. That means the transfer of momentum or the transfer of motion from the mover to the non-mover, and then transferring water from the wet to the dry. See that? It's all about transfer from high to low, from plenty to very little. This is the big picture, and you can, in a new problem or a new question, you can fill in the correct words that paint that new picture. All right. So, two things. Water, which is up from ground to dry wind, and stresses, which are from the wind that blows this way to the ground that feels the effect of being pulled tangentially by the hurricane. You've seen the trees during a hurricane, haven't you? Not yet? Pay attention. The trees, all of them, because the wind is moving with uniform speed during a hurricane. There's no fluctuations. And then all the trees bend like, the hair on the back of your cat, or just one direction. All the trees. It's amazing. I mean, they teach the answer to the second part. Okay. Try the simplest first means that today's lecture has to start with the root, because through the root water flows upward, and the wind is not blowing because the root is implanted in the soil. So the root is like the trunk without wind. You see, get it? Okay, so, and the question here is, can we predict the shape of the root? Root shape. Before I continue, because now I just thought of something else to tickle you with. Here's this picture in profile, and these are the elements of vegetation. Let's call them trees, and every single one has shape, okay, and flexibility. Air blows from left to right. This is the solid. And you'll see that this drawing is born out of answering these two questions. But here come the animals. The animals, if you look at what's on their skin in profile, same thing. It's called hair and fur. Yeah. Oh, by the way, the vegetation appears in order to facilitate the flow of something from the solid to the dry wind. Hair, on the other hand, appears for the purpose of preventing the flow of heat from the skin to the dry air. First there was hair and fur. Much later, meaning recently, there was clothing on the back of intelligent apes, you see. So to prevent heat transfer leads to this design. Looks like this design, but in this case it's to prevent, not to facilitate. But this air that flows through this forest, and if the so-called trees, strands of hair, are close enough, that air is trapped or slowed down between those filaments, and the blanket of air becomes the insulation blanket from which the living animal benefits. And you learn here that the same drawing in this extreme acts as an insulation, in this other extreme acts, meaning, by the way, trees don't like their neighbors. Trees never touch the neighbor. Trees want to have access to dry air all by themselves. Did you observe that trees are like each tree is its own island in this ocean of air that blows by? Here, the purpose of the architecture is to facilitate flow from the surface to the wind.